Well, hello everybody. This is just Mike, and I'd appreciate it if you'd give me a thumbs up if you happen to like this video. And don't forget to subscribe, because it's free. Anyway, let me show you this clock, what I plan on just cleaning, or not necessarily cleaning, I'll clean the outside of the case, but I'm going to re-oil the clock because it's still ticking, and I'm sure it's time to do that. Let's take a look at this clock. This is the clock I have. The glass is missing, and so that's why you're probably getting a lot of dirt, tarnish, whatever you want to call it, on the dial. This does open this away, and so I'm going to have to get a new glass for this, and I don't have the metal pieces to hold this glass in. I don't know the brand name. I don't know if it came off because it got wet or what. Possibly we'll find out when we get inside the clock. The nice thing about this clock, let me remove these keys here, they don't even go to the clock. I didn't get a key to this clock, but it does have the fancier detail in here, in which I'm going to see about getting that cleaned up also. It does have the little bits of nice wood carving in it, and I really love this top piece. Now what's kind of unique about this clock is a lot of people would say to lift your clock up, tip it towards the front when you're going to move it anywhere. This one doesn't make any difference. It'll start ticking again, and let me show you why, because I think that's kind of unique about this clock. This is the back side. I'm going to go ahead and take these 4 screws out so you can get to the movement. This here is usually loose. They've been kind of scratching it on here instead of just popping it up a little bit and pulling it away. And my desk isn't level, so it won't stay ticking unless I level the clock out. But it does have this ring here. Let me show you. Here's the ring on it. Right now it's dragging on this rod here. But you'll see in the center of this pendulum, that's where you would twist the knob to adjust the speed of this thing. But let me go ahead and open this up and let's see if we can figure out what type of movement it is, or possibly the brand of this clock. On the back also, I can't see it very well. Usually the camera will pick it up better. But I don't know if this is 1816, I can't believe that, or 1896. Looks like a plus sign or a T right there, 5. I can't necessarily see the rest of it. And then over to this side, it has something here too. Maybe you can make it out on the camera because I can't see it. Now on these screws here, there's 2 of them that I'd say are original. I'm not even sure of that. All these screws are different sizes and whatnot, but I would figure it might have the bigger heads on it. So there's the movement. This here wire is bent. And it also has the ring up here also. So like I say, to me this clock is unusual. So at the moment I can't read this. I need to take the movement out to see what this thing says. Also, this pendulum, it's sitting on the wire. There's actually a hole in the upper part of this ring, So there's no way this pendulum's gonna fall off because it's just too tight. And I've tried wiggling it over and there's not enough room. And so what I'll have to do, it's got a pin up here. That might even be a nail. It doesn't matter. I need to take it out in order to get that off so I can get the pendulum out if I wanted to. But like I say, my main thing is I plan on doing is just re-oiling it, taking a look at the pivots and whatnot to see if anything looks like it needs to be reworked. So the first thing I need to do is take out this taper pin. Then we have the washer on here, along with the minute hand. And this washer does have a, what do they call that, convex? So it's kind of like a spring to hold this on. The hand is a little bit bent, so I'll have to straighten that out. And I can understand that, like I say, it doesn't have the glass on here. What about this? Yeah, that there's pressure fitted on, and this looks really dusty around the barrel part of it, and which is understandable, like I say, because this doesn't have a glass on it. And while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and take this dial off, because like I say, I want to kind of shine it up, and I also need to take it with me to go get a new glass made, which I'll see about having my older brother do it, because he has the stained glass stuff along with a, we'll call it a glass grinder, and that's from your stained glass, being able to grind the edges of it. Still, I don't see a name or anything on here. The only thing I see here is an arrow pointing this way for slow and one over that way for fast, so that way you can adjust the speed of your clock here also. So that's kind of odd, it has that besides the screw, we'll say, on the pendulum itself. So I have the screws out. I see the New York, USA. I'm not sure. I'll have to get a magnifying glass so I can see that. So to give you a little bit better perspective, here on the pendulum, like I say, it does have a loop there, or a hole in that ring, in order for it to stay on there, so you can pretty much bang this up. Now this one was really bent, and it might have been because they were banging the heck out of it. You need these things to be straight. And I just checked all these pivots and whatnot, the bushing area, and to me they all look good. We can see just a little bit of dirt or oil around each one of these, and which is understandable. It's not a big deal. I'm planning on, like I say, just oiling this thing, because they say if your clock's still running, why, and it's not slowing down or anything else, why should you go through the trouble of cleaning it totally when maybe it's not necessary. For a clock collector, it wouldn't be a big deal if you wanted to clean it to refresh it, if you're planning on using this thing all the time. I normally tear these things totally apart and start over again, but this thing seems to gone good and whatnot, seems to run good, and so, like I say, that's all I'm going to do is oil it. So I'm going to use my pen oiler, and in here I actually have this is engine oil. It's a full synthetic. It's 0 weight to 20 weight. You always want it, if you're going to use oil, you always want that 0 weight. In the old days, they used to oil these clocks with car oil. So it's not a heart attack. And our oils are made a little bit different now, I will admit. This pen I have squirts the oil out and then it sucks it back up in. In some of my other videos, I usually put in there what this pen is. You might be able to, here, let me set this down carefully. Get the light on the subject. For some reason, this here oiler is in with watch repair stuff. I don't understand why, because it does take some pressure to push this plunger, we'll call it, in, and I would think you would damage your watch using this. Now, normally, such as a cuckoo clock, for instance, those things are considered a dirty clock, and so you should blow them out with a canned air, because they have a lot of dust in them. This one here is pretty much a sealed clock. We did find the dust around the end where you wind the clock up, which in so many words is understandable because the glass is missing. And let's not forget inside there, that didn't feel bad. And I'm also going to wind up the springs a bit, and I'm going to put some oil on them also. Even without this pen, if you get too much oil on there, take a tissue and dab the extra oil off of there, because you don't want to swamp your bushings and whatnot, because they can only use just so much, and just because you put a lot of oil in there doesn't mean that's going to be good for the clock. I'm not letting this thing soak the oil back up. So now that I got the oil on both sides of this, I'm going to go ahead and put it back in the clock. Well, that's the best I could come up with. This tells you a little bit of the history of it. And this did say New York, made in the USA. So if you'd like to stop and read that, if you can even see it, fantastic. Antique clock guy, that's where this is coming from. So anyway, with the movement out, I got a better chance of waxing this clock, try to make it look more presentable, even though it's a nice looking clock. After I get it waxed and rubbed in good with just a little piece of towel, where I need to, I'm going to take this brush and get in and work it in where I can't actually reach. And leaving it overnight, I will find that everything that I put on here is normally going to soak right into the clock, because I don't know how it does it, but it seems to go through the finish. And look nice again. But before I do any waxing, I'm going to go ahead and take it inside and see if I can clean this up a little bit better. And then I have to let the clock dry out so I don't catch any water in between the wax I'm going to put on. And of course, I swear by this Howard's Feeding Wax. Easy to apply. Even if you left, not that you should, but even if you left some gobs on there, normally they all soak in. So this is what it looks like before I do anything to it. I'm going to use this on there. I did it real quick. I started getting some on the dial, and I don't know if it was actually cleaning it or making it dark. I didn't want to get too carried away. So now all I have to do is have that glass made. I also put a little bit of wax on this after I gave it a quick polish. I just waxed this. So now I need to let it set so it'll soak in, and if there's anything left over, I can just take a nice dry soft towel and wipe it down. But normally, like I say, somehow or another it soaks into the finish and helps preserve the wood, besides hopefully taking away any scratches per se. And then I can get this movement back into the clock. It's only been 2 hours and it's pretty much almost all the way in. I'm going to go ahead and put the movement in. And I'm talking about the wax. So I have it level. It seems to be ticking really nice. So I went over to my brother's and he was able to cut this glass, and I should have videotaped it because cutting a circle isn't easy, as in just cutting a straight circle out of glass. Anyway, he did a fine job. He ground the edges. There happened to be, which I didn't see before, was that we have 3 clips in here that we had to fold up, set the glass in, then fold it back down. I do believe there was a 4th clip, but it's missing. Anyway, now I have glass in here, have a nice shiny brass frame. It fits kind of tight in there, but just the same, looks beautiful. So we got this clock done, and no, I can't pronounce the name, but I'll leave in the description, just in case you didn't catch it, what the brand name of this movement is, and that means the clock is the same thing. I'm not sure that this clock was built in 94, I think it was. The case on the inside actually looks brand new. The movement has got the age to it, and so whichever it is, I'm happy that this clock is still running. It didn't need any bushings. I don't think it ever had bushings ever replaced in it or put in. And so whether this clock is well loved or whether it's newer, I don't know. But it doesn't matter. I still like the clock. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe because it's free. And give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And until next time, God bless.